We got some new viewership data over the weekend that shows that Daredevil Born Again marginally outperformed Lucasfilm's The Acolyte in the second week it's been on the charts. We'll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So, data tracking firm Illuminate revealed that Daredevil Born Again brought in 387.3 million minutes watched, which was good enough for the 10th and final spot on its streaming originals television chart for the week of March 6th through the 13th. You can see right here, it is at the bottom of the chart behind 1923, Beauty in Black, Running Point, Love is Blind, Reacher, Zero Day, Paradise, Medusa, and The Traitors. It is the only Disney Plus show on there. The only other Disney show, I guess you could call it Hulu show, Paradise, in there in 7th. But everything else, Paramount Plus, Netflix, Peacock is even on there, beating Daredevil Born Again with The Traitors. Those are the only streaming services people are watching above Disney Plus there. So it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom. Peacock doing better than Disney Plus. Pretty bad there. So for comparison, The Acolyte brought in 380.5 million minutes watched in its second week on Illuminate streaming original television chart. That means that Daredevil Born Again performed just 1.7% better than The Acolyte in its second week, according to Illuminate. And again, Illuminate is kind of weird, right? Obviously, you can tell here that it is March 6th to March 13. March 13 obviously being a Thursday, so they do not count that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when a lot of people do indeed kind of have more time to sit back and watch a show, despite I think the show comes out on a Tuesday. So you do have to take that into account. And that's obviously why we saw both Daredevil Born Again and The Acolyte perform better than their first week. Daredevil Born Again wasn't even on the Illuminate charts in its first week. I think The Acolyte did like 200 and something in its first week. And then we obviously saw both of them jump in the second week. Obviously, Daredevil Born Again going to 387.3, The Acolyte going to 380.5. But again, both shows, I think, released on a Tuesday. So while Illuminate indicated that Daredevil Born Again performed marginally better than The Acolyte in its second week on the chart, Disney admitted that The Acolyte actually outperformed Daredevil Born Again in its first 5 days on Disney+. The company reported to Variety that Daredevil Born Again only brought in 7.5 million views over its first 5 days. In comparison, it revealed that The Acolyte did 4.8 million views in its first day and went on to have 11.1 million views in its first 5 days. So significantly more viewership in its first 5 days than Daredevil Born Again, The Acolyte had, which we will get to. There's a reason why this is not good at all for Daredevil Born Again, mainly the fact that The Acolyte has been canceled. We can also look at IMDb review data. I've talked about this before, but I think we have a little bit better understanding now that that third episode for Daredevil Born Again has come out. You can see The Acolyte, after its third episode had released, 11,000 reviews for the first episode, or over 11,000, over 9,900 for the second episode, and then 7,500 for the third episode. Compare that to Daredevil Born Again. We're looking at just over 10,000 for the first episode, a little over 8,700 for the second episode, and just 6,100 for the third episode. So IMDb showing that The Acolyte likely had more viewership as well, just looking at the reviews. I've kind of seen that kind of trend. That looks like it does correlate when you look at Illuminate, when you look at Nielsen data, etc. The review numbers do kind of correlate to that. And then Google Trends here, The Acolyte absolutely bodies Daredevil Born Again. Obviously, it peaked at its first episode, and then you kind of saw it kind of trending down a little bit there. And then Daredevil Born Again didn't even get to 60% of The Acolyte's interest over time. I think it's at 58%. If we click over through here, you can see that, 57% for Daredevil Born Again. The Acolyte obviously at 100% over there back in June of last year. So Google Trends not looking good on that front either. Everything looking like this show is trending worse than The Acolyte. I mean, you can even see right here, July 14 to 20, which is probably around The Acolyte's finale, I'd say, towards the end, was doing better than the premiere for Daredevil Born Again. So that's really, really bad. And then this is the main reason why it is so bad. Disney co-chairman Alan Bergman explained to Vulture why Disney and Lucasfilm decided to shut that show down, decided not to renew it for a second season. And he said, so as it relates to Acolyte, we were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title, quite frankly, to go and make a season 2. So that's the reason why we didn't do that. So he's claiming that he was fine with the viewership, although it obviously was one of the worst performing shows, I think, from Lucasfilm for Star Wars. Maybe not anymore. Skeleton Crew actually has done worse than it, but at the time it was the worst performing one. But he was saying he was fine with the viewership. It was just way too expensive. So could be a similar fate for Daredevil Born Again. Marvel, we know, has already greenlit a second season, albeit it's just an original first season that has been cut in half. In fact, Marvel TV head Brad Winterbaum even said this season is really kind of part 2 of season 1, talking about season 2. So it allows us to go into bigger and different places. Now, obviously, we do know that they had a huge creative overhaul for this show. 2023, I want to say. The fall of 2023 is when they announced that, and they were kind of changing all of how they were doing TV. So we'll see if they make any real significant changes in season 2 or even later here in season 1, but all things pointing downward on that. Winterbaum did also tell Entertainment Weekly that he hopes the show will last multiple seasons, saying 100% it's a multi-season show. But again, multi-season could be like, yeah, it is that one season that we originally greenlit that we've now chopped into 2. So now it's multi-season because we've got 2 seasons. But does it go anywhere after that? We'll see. Doesn't look like there has been anything announced for that. Actor Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil, informed Entertainment Weekly that the show's future after season 2 is not guaranteed. He said it would be cool for that journey to continue, but said that he didn't really have anything on the docket for a third season yet. So based on what we've seen so far, I would be surprised if they continue doing that. I know I'll probably be covering this on Fandom Pulse later today. There's some comments from the Russos talking about how that Marvel has completely kind of lost the point. There is no through narrative anymore. There is no actual overarching narrative to any of their films. It's just throwing paint against the wall, hoping something sticks, and then maybe trying to touch on that. I know they were trying to do something with Kang, it seemed like, but that completely, I think, fell apart given they introduced that in the first season of Loki, and that was one of the worst television shows I've ever watched. It was just absolute destruction of the character. It was totally MCU to a T, emasculating him, humiliating him, and then elevating the female character to almost replace him. It was just total MCU with that show. So we'll see if there will be any changes and if this will ever tie into any of that stuff that the Russos are talking about. We'll see, but does not look good here for Daredevil Born Again. Illuminate data showing that it is only performing 1.7% better than the Acolyte, coming in with just 387.3 million minutes watched in its second week on their charts. So let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.